Hey scrappy people, it's Tracy Reed here today, and I'm coming at you with a fun Life Crafted album page using the Cocoa Daisy Poppy Fields collection. And the first thing I'm starting with is some ripped up brown paper. This is just regular old brown packaging paper I got in a package that I decided to keep close to my side for when I wanted to add in texture, and I felt like this was the layout to do it. So for this layout, I'm going to be working on a diagonal, and I had an idea for this layout based on some embellishments from the Poppy Fields collection that I wanted to use, and then I found the perfect photo to do it. So here we are. So the whole intent of this page is to work on a diagonal, so I'm going to walk through the different steps, some of them conscious, some of them unconscious, that I went through to really create a cool diagonal layout. So the first thing that I did was actually choose this paper in the background from the Poppy Fields collection that actually has leaves sort of on a diagonal in the same direction that I wanted my diagonal to go on. The second thing that I did was to lay a very delineated space with that brown paper to work within. By working within this space, I can really emphasize the diagonal portion of this layout. The third thing I did was I chose consciously to put that photo of me looking off camera and put it on the left hand side, so it's looking at the right hand side so that it faces the same direction that the diagonal is going. I'm going to speed through this really quick because all I'm doing is putting down the labels where I had them already. So the labels that inspired this page are those fun printed ones that have all of the goofy phrases on it, and a lot of them in the collection I identified with, so I decided that I wanted to build a whole layout around them. So that was the whole inspiration for this layout. But I knew that if I created a grid that wasn't on an angle, wasn't diagonal like this, it could get kind of boring and a little bit too linear for me. So the way that I combated that whole linear feeling was to design the whole thing on a diagonal. So I'm going to use these little paper clips that came in the classified memory keeping collection with these labels, and I'm going to use them to sort of reinforce the straight lines of the labels, but I'm going to put them at different angles. So that top one is going to go straight up and down, this one's going horizontal. So it kind of, what it also does is frames the whole piece so that it is it has these metal anchors that sort of keep your eyes within the diagonal of the page as well. I'm going to add one to this photo, but I think I'm going to move it in a minute. Still kind of contemplating where I want all of these paper clips to be. And then when I put this one here, I decided that the one on my photo was a little close to it. So I'm going to move them around a little bit more. So the initial idea I had was diagonal and using those labels. So everything from here, I'm just kind of freewheeling and deciding what looks best. I knew I wanted to keep the layout fairly simple, especially since I wanted to keep everything within that brown paper diagonal, so I didn't want to expand the borders of the composition beyond that brown paper, so I had a sort of a limited space to work in. I don't even add a title to this page because really it's just a fun page that doesn't really have too much meaning to it. I just took some selfies in that high key mode on my iPhone, and I thought they were cool looking. I was literally sitting on my couch, but you wouldn't be able to tell. They look very well thought out. So I'm going to add in some chipboard here. I'm going to add in this arrow, and I'm kind of trying to add in some things that aren't necessarily linear. So I want to add in this circular heart. I've got a lot of straight lines going on now, so I want to make sure that I break up the repetition of those straight lines with things that are not rectangular in shape, I guess. I thought about adding in some extra arrows, but then I decided that it was too much, so I'm just going to go with the two arrows that I have in a minute. It kind of works, but they were too linear, and I was at this point trying to find things that weren't straight lines. I am going to add in word strips or chipboard pieces on top of the labels as well, because I'm not going to be adding journaling. So I liked the idea of that red one. I liked the idea of this one too, but it was a little bit too long for my purposes. And it didn't really stand out enough on those white labels. So I decided I needed something with a little bit more color, because there's a lot of white going on here between the labels and the pictures and the background. There's just a lot going on. So I want to bring in some color. I find it funny that both of the layouts that I did initially with this collection, I used a lot of the lime green and red for my embellishments. So I'm going to add in some of these floral stickers, which are perfect for breaking up that linear vibe. Thought about adding that tall sprig, but instead I'm going to add in 2 clusters. Then I'm going to add these little flowers too, just to offset and add in just a little bit more of that organic feel in other places. Of course, I can't decide where I want to put them. It's always the hardest decision, is always putting the smallest things on the page. Okay, so I decided that the best course of action was to add in some of these black word strips, and that's really going to anchor these labels. And also, obviously, the photos, I'm wearing black, and there's a lot of dark places in the photos with the shadowing in my hair, so that helps bring out those portions of those photos as well. So it gives it a little bit more contrast visually. I wanted to use this YOLO, but it's so small. Do people say YOLO anymore? I'm pretty sure putting a YOLO sticker on your page really dates you. But I love it, so whatever. And then I'm going to put this big smile. Okay, so we're actually getting close to done here, because like I said, I wanted to keep it pretty simple. So I'm just kind of going through and seeing if there's anything that I have to add here, and I decided that I wanted to add in some of this patterned tape. It graduates from red to green, so I thought that that would be good for the color combination of this page. So I'm going to add a strip to the top of this photo and a strip to the top of the other photo, and then I'm going to call it good. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. I would love to see you over there as well. If you don't already subscribe to Coco Daisy, you can mention my name at checkout when starting a new subscription and get a coupon towards a future purchase. I don't get any kickback for that. It's just for you. So I will see you next time. All right. Thank you.